It is an honor to have Keith L. Hovey as our keynote speaker today. In the personal injury practice, Mr. Hovey represents and counsels clients in complex litigation involving nursing home abuse and medical malpractice. In addition, Mr. Hovey represents healthcare professionals in licensure defense matters before the New Jersey administrative boards. Prior to law school, Mr. Hovey worked as a registered nurse in the cardiothoracic intensive care unit at Tufts New England Medical Center in Boston, Massachusetts. Mr. Hovey has been recognized by Best Lawyers for Commercial Litigation in 2016, 17, and 18, and has been named a Super Lawyers Rising Star from 2011 to 2015 for business litigation and appellate law. Mr. Hovey's accomplishments include service as the Vice President of Congress on Policy and Practice for Region 4 of the New Jersey State Nurses Association, Chair of the Interested Nurses Political Action Committee and Litigation Section Chair of the American Association of Nurse Attorneys, member of the New Jersey State Bar Association's Medical Malpractice and Cannabis Committees, and an active member of New Jersey's Business and Industry Association Health Committee. Mr. Hovey has written articles and presented on issues of privacy, confidentiality, social media usage, and the nursing practice. He has testified before the New Jersey legislative committees regarding issues in nursing and proposed healthcare legislation. Mr. Hovey earned his Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Case Western Reserve University, Francis Payne Bolton School of Nursing, and a Juris Doctorate from Seton Hall University School of Law, graduating cum laude from both institutions. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Keith Hovey.
Thank you, Dean Zenko. All right, here we go. Good morning, President Goodrich, Dean Rooks, distinguished faculty, family, friends, and most importantly, the newest graduates of Chamberlain University's School of Nursing. Many of you, before the introduction, may not know who I am. Since I am a lawyer that represents nurses before the Board of Nursing, not knowing me before today is probably a good thing. I will admit I was a little concerned when I was asked to give this commencement address because I do represent nurses in disciplinary matters. But rest assured, I've been told that all of you deserve to be here. Yes. Okay. Seriously, why am I here? I'm not famous. I didn't survive a tragic event and write a best-selling memoir about it. The only thing I could think of was that in addition to being an attorney, I am a nurse. You heard me correctly. I am both a shark and an angel. To be chronologically honest, I was an angel and then I became a shark. To assure you of my nursing credentials, I am third-generation nurse on my mother's side. My father and I were the first father and son to graduate from the Francis Payne Bolton School of Nursing from Case Western Reserve University. Nursing is in my blood. I worked for 2 years in the cardiothoracic intensive care unit at Tufts New England Medical Center as a new graduate. Since graduating from law school, I represent victims in medical malpractice and nursing home abuse cases, as well as representing nurses before the Board of Nursing. So I've seen bed sores that will make the hardiest nurse cringe, and I've seen an innocent mistake ruin a promising nursing career. So as a nurse attorney, I asked myself, what would I have wanted a complete and total stranger that I hope I never meet again tell me on my graduation day? My 9-year-old daughter gave me the answer. She said, be funny, be positive, and don't embarrass me. Since my opening joke is out of the way, and I promise not to do the floss or the dab, I am left with being positive. So here it goes. The world needs you. And I am not referring to just the bedside. You are entering the most trusted profession. According to U.S. News and Reports, it has been the most trusted profession for the past 17 years. In addition to the bedside, we will need you in ways you can't even imagine, in places and arenas you haven't even considered. So before I tell you how you can help us save the world, let me give you some troubling statistics about the world we currently live in and where it is headed. Currently, there are approximately 3.4 million registered nurses nationwide. 55% of them are 55 years old and older. That means 1 million nurses, almost 1/3, will be retiring in the next 10 years. Within that group of retirees is a large number of nursing faculty. According to the American Association of College of Nursing, U.S. nursing schools turned away 64,000 qualified nursing school applicants from baccalaureate and master's degree programs in 2016 due to a lack of faculty, clinical sites, classroom space, preceptors, and budget limitations. The average age for the doctoral prepared nurse faculty with the title of professor, associate professor, and assistant professor were 62, 57, and 51 years of age, respectively. The average age that nurses earn their PhDs is 46 years old, 13 years older than PhDs in all other fields combined. As a result of the aging nursing faculty starting their teaching careers nearly a decade and a half later, nearly 10,000 qualified nurse applicants were denied entry into master's programs, and over 2,000 qualified applicants for doctoral programs were denied entry in 2016 alone. Our profession is in a paradox. We don't have enough nurses because we don't have enough faculty. We don't have enough faculty because we don't have enough nursing. During that same time that nurses are aging and retiring, U.S. residents over the age of 65 will increase from 49 million to 69 million by 2030. That's a 40% increase. This is to say nothing of the additional 20 million people that are now covered under the Affordable Care Act. And while we face a supply and demand issue within our population, healthcare is confronted with a panoply of issues, such as increased patient acuity, an opioid epidemic, legalization of medical and recreational marijuana, right to die laws, violence in the workplace, gun violence, Medicare funding issues, and rising infant death rates. And I could go on and on. Good thing I decided to be positive today. But just wait. Now that we, as all good nurses do, have assessed and diagnosed the condition, the question is, what shall we, and when I say we, I mean you, going to do about it? I'm asking you, what is the plan? There is a saying that if you are not at the table, then you are on the menu. Too often, nurses are revered while being left out of the decision-making process. For example, neither our president nor our vice president are nurses. Out of the 100 members of the U.S. Senate, not one is a nurse. Out of the 435 members of the House of Representatives, just 3 are nurses. That's 0.7% of its members. But let's turn to New Jersey. Neither our governor nor our lieutenant governor are nurses. And of the 40 members of the state Senate, not one is a nurse. And of the 80 members in the Assembly, there are 2 that are nurses. That is a whopping 2.5%. In short, nurses are more often on the menu than at the table. This must change. I'm not telling you that you have to run for elected office, but if you wanted to, if you really wanted to, nurses and nursing organizations are there to help. What I'm saying is that your job does not end when your shift does. Passing the NCLEX makes you a registered nurse. It does not make you a professional. The test for professionalism is taken every day. And the question for that test is always the same. What are you doing to make yourself, your profession, and the world a better place? To help nurses find a way, the Nurses on Boards Coalition was formed in 2014. Its goal is to ensure that 10,000 nurses on various corporate and health-related governmental boards, panels, and commissions by 2020. Having worked as a lawyer and having served on local boards of health and committees for the New Jersey State Bar Association, I can tell you unequivocally that my education and experience as a nurse has made me a better and more productive member of each organization and committee upon which I have served. I am a better lawyer because I am a nurse. Whatever you choose to pursue, you will be better because you are a nurse. The issues that face nursing will not be served by one person in nursing alone. We will need the nurses that are educators and economists, ethicists and informaticists, attorneys and actuaries, members of the board and members of Congress. And we will need them to be nurses. We will need every nurse imaginable. We need diversity of gender, of race, religion, sexuality, and nationality, as well as diversity of education, both in the degrees earned and the disciplines pursued. So whether you choose to serve on your local board of health or run a Fortune 500 company, or the United States of America, do it as a nurse. The nursing process, like proper hand washing, is an invaluable tool, one that can transcend geography or subject matter. It is a tool that will serve you well regardless of whatever path you choose. Every problem for which we seek a solution requires assessment, diagnosis, planning, implementation, and evaluation. Sound familiar? The current problem is that we are underrepresented in the places where decisions that affect us and our patients are being made. We must move from the most trusted profession to the profession that is the most entrusted. We must become our own advocates. We must be in a position to not only propose the solution, but to ensure its implementation. We must realize that advocating for ourselves as nurses is advocating for our patients, both those who need us today and those that will need us tomorrow. America is pressing its call light. And it must be nurses from all walks of life, educated in an array of disciplines, both in and outside of nursing, that answer that call. We know the issues that face us, and if they remain unaddressed, as they move down their present course, they will result in a calamity of colossal magnitude. You have heard the statistics. But there is hope, and that hope is in each and every one of you. Now we're going to be positive. That hope is that you become the professional we need you to be. It does unfair to ask those who are already committed to doing so much to do even more. Yet it is your very willingness to do what must be done that makes you the most qualified candidates to do what is being asked. As nurses, we witness life and death. We see the horrors of violence and neglect. We are skilled in the arts of compassion and communication, while experienced in comforting those in grief. We do the tasks that most people can't bear to hear about, let alone see or do. We are a profession that never sleeps. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. At every moment of every day and every night, nurses are working. I ask you, who is more qualified than that? I ask, now, please excuse me, because I believe there is a call light that needs to be answered.